Welcome back to Celeste. This is update beta 7 for the pack. Once again, I would like to remind you, if you are interested in downloading any of the assets you see today, I will be releasing all of the beta versions from now on in Discord. And that means I'll either be uploading them to Mediafire when we start to get some heavy sound files, and you can download them from there. But for now, they're just going to be available in the hashtag announcements chat. I don't like saying the word hashtag. It's not actually called hashtag, is it? It's just hash. Is it just hash? I feel like it's just hash. Because hashtag is a Twitter thing, isn't it? I don't know. Anyway, it's in the announcements channel, so you can go download it if you want to. Anyway, without further ado, we have a few small block changes for today's episode. I did mention last time that I will be fixing the purpur blocks. I was a little bit annoyed by the bright top seal kind of rim seal side texture. I don't really know how to call it. Basically, these pixels here along the edges were too bright. I've dulled them down, made them look a little bit better within the block, and I think that the purpur actually looks much nicer now. It looks a lot better. It looks very different to how purpur looks in vanilla Minecraft now, but I like it. I think it looks really, really nice. It fits the theme of Celeste a lot better, which is sort of like this more I want to say like flat but bubbly kind of look, because obviously everything in Celeste has a very specific design. I'll give an example here with the endstone bricks. So every individual brick in the endstone bricks has kind of like a set of rules, basically. And this applies to everything in the pack, actually. This happened on the Prismarine, it happened on the ore blocks, it happened on the endstone brick blocks, and it's going to happen on almost every other brick in the game as well. Every other type of block that has this kind of patterning. So we have this darkened area on the bottom of this part of the texture, and a lighter area on the top. And that doesn't just apply to the face of the block, it applies to the face of individual components of the block. So you can see here the bottom ones again. Darker on the bottom and the right hand side, darker on the bottom and the right hand side, and lighter on the upper left and upper side, like that as well. And that kind of looks like, it makes it look as though the block has some sort of like depth to it, in my opinion. I think it looks really good. So that's kind of what I've chosen to do with purpur as well. Obviously last time the lighter side was too light, and that was the issue, but now that's been fixed, so I think it looks a little bit nicer. And once again, the most important thing, it now better fits the theme of Celeste, which is obviously what we're going for as well. So yeah, I think they look really good. I can't get over this column, man. I haven't even changed this, but I love the way the column looks. I think it looks really, really nice. Looks good on the top side of texture as well. It's really good. But yeah, onwards we have Blue Ice. And it's actually a recommendation from Chroma. So hello again, Chroma. Welcome back to the videos. You have so many recommendations. He actually recommended that we change Blue Ice to look more like its real-life counterpart, which is, of course, Glacial Ice. If you don't know how Glacial Ice looks, you can do a very simple Google Images search, and you will see it's a lovely cyan blue color. And I tried recreating that kind of effect in Minecraft, and unfortunately, it didn't look good. I did actually take a screenshot of it, but I probably won't be bothered to edit it afterwards. So, hello, me in the editing studio who couldn't be asked. So basically, Glacial Ice didn't look good in Minecraft, so I'm really sorry. However, when I then reverted the Glacial Ice back to the previous texture that we had for Blue Ice that we made in, I think, version 0.5 or 0.6, I didn't like it anymore. I thought it was a bit crap. So I decided to make it a little bit brighter, a little bit more vivid, and a little bit more blue. Kind of the opposite of what it was. Not the opposite of what it was before, but it was very different. The original Blue Ice texture was more lilac and more deep, and it didn't really look like Blue Ice at all. So basically, Blue Ice looks a little bit more like Blue Ice, but it still looks like Minecraft. That's kind of the whole point of this texture, and I think it does look really, really good as well. So yeah. So onwards from that, we have some items. Get used to seeing items, guys, because I am done with blocks for a while. I know that sounds kind of crap, but yeah, I need a break from blocks. Trust me, I'm still driving myself insane with item textures. We have an example over there that I'll get to in just a moment. But yeah, we're not going to do any more blocks for a while because I am sick and tired of blocks, and items are fun. And oh my god, this was so fun designing these textures. So here we go. So first of all, we have the stick and the string, and I'm kind of showing these off in the order that I designed them for a reason. So first of all, the stick. Obviously, the stick was designed first because all of the tools do have a stick in them in some way, apart from, obviously, I changed the gold and diamond ones later on, but we'll get to that in a sec. And also the wooden tools have string in them as well. Now, I made the string a little bit more dull, a little bit more beige to kind of look like it was more weathered and worn. I think that kind of makes sense considering that spiders drop it. Really, this should be called like silk, shouldn't it, if it's spiders? Also, how the hell does string work in Minecraft? Because those big spiders, like, is the string still quite small for spider webs, or what's the point of it otherwise? I don't know. Never really thought about it before, but yeah, string doesn't really make any sense in Minecraft, does it? Anyway, I'll let you have a little look at the item textures that we've got here as well. Now, on the upper row, you can see all the different swords, and then you can see the picks, shovels, axes, and the hoes, respectively. Now, my goal with this was two things. I first of all wanted to make it so that each of the tool tiers had a unique look to them that was concurrent, so you can see all of the stone tools look like they're kind of a similar style, all of the wooden tools look like a similar style, and I also wanted to have a unique texture for every single one. Now, this could be a unique tool head, or a unique handle, or a unique style, and that was kind of the goal for all of them. So I'm just going to go over them all in bulk. So obviously for the wooden tools, you can see that it's a very primitive, very simple style. So obviously we have like the sword and the pickaxe. You can see there, very obviously they have like a binding to bind the two pieces of wood together, and they look like they wouldn't work very well. That's the whole point. I'm considering giving all these tools different like level names, but we'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, so obviously in the wooden tool set, the sword will be called a sparring sword because it's kind of a wooden sword. It looks like it wouldn't deal that much damage. It looks like it would be more so used for practicing, if nothing else. So the sword in the wooden tool set is going to be called the sparring sword. I haven't changed any of the names yet, unfortunately. It's just called wooden sword still, but I am going to get to some Langfile stuff in the next update already, so don't worry too much about that one. In the stone tool set, you can see here we've gone for a very clear primitive look. So this is kind of like caveman time, really. Caveman time, boys. So obviously we've got the caveman club. We have the stone pickaxe that looks more like a hoe than a pickaxe. We have the shovel that looks more like an axe than a shovel. We have the axe, which actually looks relatively streamlined. And then we have the kind of droopy hoe. And the whole point of the stone tools is to make them look very random and very not very good. Like, I don't know, the stick looks fine because the sticks have been made out of the same material, obviously, as the wooden tools. But for the actual head of the tool, it's just sort of like a weird, kind of like messily put together combination of stones. And again, I just think it looks good. I think it suits all of those. Obviously, in this set, the sword would actually be called the stone club, because it just looks a lot more like a club than a sword, and that's fine. I think that's cool. Obviously, for the iron set, we have the most streamlined and the most like vanilla tools. So for the vanilla items there, you can see the sword is a broadsword, so that's kind of what the swords are in vanilla Minecraft. We also have the pickaxe, which is a little bit thinner and a little bit wider than the vanilla pickaxe, but I think it does look really good. We have the shovel, which is literally just the same texture as vanilla, but with a different, well, what am I saying? The same shape texture as vanilla, but with different coloration and different style, obviously. We have the axe, which again is the same shape as vanilla, but with different coloration. And we have the hoe, which is the same story again. So the iron tools do look really nice. They're really clean, really shiny, and I really like that. Obviously, iron tools, you do have quite a long period of time at the start of the game, so I'm okay putting a lot of effort into them. And I really like the way the broadsword looks. I think it looks really good. The way that I've done the crossguard for the broadsword, I really, really like that. And if I was going to do broadswords for all of the tool tiers, like vanilla Minecraft, that's the texture I would use, the middle one for the iron, because I think it looks really, really good. Now, moving on from that, we have gold tools. Now, gold tools are the kind of like fancy jeweled set, you know, the what do you call it? The vanity set of tools. Obviously, it kind of makes sense considering piglins coming out in 1.16, and obviously pigmen as well. But yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense, because obviously gold tools in reality would not make much sense at all. They would be a complete waste of time. Anyone who made a gold tool would be doing it purely to show off. So obviously for the sword, we have a scimitar there, as you can see, which is, I believe, the weapon of like a religious figure or something like that. So basically someone who's not actually going to go into war or ever use this thing, but who just wants to show off the fact that they can afford to make a sword out of gold. So basically we have the gold sword, which is like, has a nice curved crossguard hilt. What's it called again? Handguard? Is it crossguard, handguard? I believe it's handguard. I don't know. It has the curved thing going around the handle, and it has the green jewels on there and the slightly curved sword blade to reflect the nature of a curved scimitar. We have the pickaxe, which looks like it would not function very well, but again looks quite pretty and looks quite big and menacing, and yeah, it's a vanity pickaxe, isn't it? There you go. We have the widened shovel, which looks more like an excavator with its wider head there. We have the axe design, which is actually taken out of Ziplaw's custom item textures. You guys may remember I did a thing recently, or not recently. It was a couple of months ago now, where I participated in a server event with a bunch of mini games because I created a bunch of textures for these guys. These were the axes. Same shape, as you can see there. I think that's quite a nice shape. So I always wanted to come back and use this for something. And there it is. It's used on the gold axe, so the vanity axe. I think it looks pretty good. And finally, we have the hoe, which kind of looks like a rock hammer. Like, if you look at it from the other... If you think about it from the other direction, it looks kind of like a rock hammer. Which doesn't make any sense, but yeah. I kind of like it. It's again, it's a vanity hoe. There's no reason why you would ever use this. I believe the gold tools only have 32 durability each, which just baffles me to this day. I don't understand why gold exists in the way it does, because, gold has a quote-unquote higher enchantability, meaning that when you enchant golden tools, you're more likely to get, higher level enchantments. So, if you enchant a sword, you're more likely to get, Unbreaking 3 and Sharpness 4 and even Sharpness 5 potentially and Looting 3 all in one go because gold has a higher enchantability. Yes, but Unbreaking 3 on a tool with 32 durability still has less durability than a bog standard iron tool with no enchantment. So why would anyone ever use gold tools? It's so crap. I love the idea of mobs using them because that makes a lot of sense. But I don't know. I just think they're a waste of time. Utter waste of time. Finally, we have the diamond tools, obviously the most popular tool set in the game, and this one I do really, really like. The sword is supposed to be a cutlass. Obviously, cutlasses are usually curved a little bit. I have not chosen to go for the curved style, simply because that is an option. You don't have to be curved to be a cutlass. The only thing that's making this thing a cutlass is, of course, the fancy handguard, which is kind of like the incomplete handguard texture. So I don't really know how best to describe this. Basically, cutlasses don't actually have a complete flowing handguard like the scimitar. They actually have like a small break usually where the pommel is and where the crossguard ends. I'm talking like I know a lot about swords. I don't know a lot about swords. I know a few terms. I knew a few basic terms, and that's it, okay? But the crossguard kind of ends before it attaches to the pommel. So the crossguard isn't actually attached to the pommel at all, which I believe means that it's what was I calling it? A cutlass. I believe that means it's a cutlass. I don't know. Please correct me if you know more about swords. I'm sure a lot of you Weeaboo fans do know a lot about swords, or maybe just katanas in particular. Yeah. So the pickaxe is pretty cool. I've kind of gone for a similar style of netherite with all of the following tools, where there's kind of like a highlight on the handle, kind of like a darkened band wrapping around the handle, purely for vanity reasons, of course, to show off the fact that you have the fancy-ass tools. And yeah, you can see the diamond pickaxe is a little bit thinner than the vanilla pickaxe, although it does share the same kind of shape. And I just think it looks a lot more menacing this way. It looks a lot more like it would actually function properly as a pickaxe. It looks more like it tapers into a single point, as opposed to kind of like a chomky rounded blades that the vanilla one does have, kind of like the gold one there, obviously. We have the shovel, which is a tactical shovel because it has a point, implying that you could stab someone with this shovel and it would do a lot of damage, because obviously the diamond tools all do a decent amount of damage. I mean, the diamond shovel does 5.5, which I believe is actually more than the wooden sword. Yeah, so the diamond shovel actually does more damage than a wooden sword. So it kind of makes sense that they would be like, tactical. So yes, people wanted this, so there it is. We have a pointed shovel, and I actually like it. I now that I see it in game, I think I do actually really like the texture, and it separates it from the iron texture really nicely. It just makes it look a little bit more menacing, as the diamond tools should be. Obviously, you've been seeing it now. Diamond axe is the broad axe. This is obviously like a neat little texture that I really do like, and also a reference to the very early days of Minecraft, where the axes were actually all going to be broad axes. So obviously, diamond axes are more heavily associated with combat than actually using them for wood, I believe. Me personally, I actually prefer to use an axe a lot more. I will get to a point very late in the game where I kind of use these things opposite. So if I'm going to a big farm and I need to get a lot of materials, I will use a sword only for the looting factor, but otherwise I would usually use a sharpness axe because I love the huge amount of damage that you get from these drop shot critical attacks. I think they work perfectly. So there you go. And finally we have the hoe. Yeah, it's just a hoe. It's pretty basic. Like your mum. So that's the hoe. Here you can see a diamond sword being wielded by an armor stand. I think it looks pretty snazzy. Yeah, I could show you all of these things in my hand, but it'd take ages to do, unfortunately. I think they all look really good, though. Like, obviously, if you're playing in like multiplayer and stuff, or if you're playing with like a data pack that spawns mobs with these items, you will see them in mobs' hands quite a lot. But I think they all look really good. I think the diamond tools look really good as well. You can see the scimitar there. I think looks really good. I think it's pretty snazzy. It's pretty snazzy. Looks good in your hand as well. Looks pretty nice. You can see it there being wielded by a zombie pigman. Obviously, the most likely contender to be holding a gold sword because they always have gold swords. Again, unless you have a data pack installed. But yeah, I think it fits the zombie pigman aesthetic as well because obviously zombie pigmen are like vain and want to look pretty. I mean, obviously piglins even further that idea because they all just trade in gold and like yeah, what is it? So they attack you if you're not wearing gold, and then if you're wearing a full suit of gold armor for God knows what reason, zombie piglin will actually leave you alone. So yeah, this idea of the fancy ass gold armor actually backs up my idea. It backs up my idea even more, because when the piglin come out, it's going to make even more sense that the gold items are kind of like the vanity tools. My favourite one definitely is the diamond pickaxe. I think it looks fantastic. It's the same shape texture as the pickaxes from Tinker's Construct, with the much thinner and much more pointed blade, and I really, really like the way they look. I just think the diamond tools look I can't speak today. What the hell's wrong with me? I think the diamond tools just look really good in general. I think they fit the tool system really well. And one thing I'm just really proud of with this so far, and this is going to continue for every item that we change as well, is that we are really, really quickly developing a concurrent style. So as you can see here, every single item that we've retextured fits into the style. If you look at the armor, and then you look at the swords, they look completely different. They do not look like they come from the same tool set. And that's fine, because if you look at the tools that we've done here, once we edit all of the tool levels, they all look like they belong in the same resource pack, and that is what we're going for. So there you go. Jappa has a problem with doing too many dark textures around the edge of things, and I understand why. It's to make things more visible in the inventory at all times, but obviously I've gone for more of like a dark theme inventory, which means that we have a lot more freedom with how item textures look. Because you can see here, nothing doesn't fit. Like, I can see every texture against the background really nicely. I would say the only one that really does start to like slip into the background a bit is obviously the stone tools, because they're very similar shade to the background, but I think they still look really good. So yeah. So without further ado, a few more textures for you. We have flint and steel. I hate the flint and steel. I cannot get this one right. I just don't know what to do with it, so please give me advice, because I'm going crazy with this thing. The original goal with this was obviously just to have the flint be the same size on the original texture as it is on the flint and steel texture, but I can't get the steel to look good. I don't know. It's really annoying. I've become hyper aware of a lot of things designing this texture, and I'll explain to you just now, and you'll share the pain, trust me. So basically, I hate flint and steel because flint and steel in real life is kind of like a lighter. You hold the flint in one hand. I need to demonstrate this properly, actually. Let me just get an ironing it. Because I've recorded this video once already and the recording broke, so I've already done this. Let me just do it again. So yeah, when you're holding flint and steel, in reality what you're doing is you're holding flint in one hand and steel in the other, and you grind them against each other and it creates sparks, and that's how you make fire. However, in this game, when flint and steel was added, they hadn't added the offhand feature yet, and there was no ability to hold anything in your offhand. The only thing that you could hold in your offhand was a bow, because bows need to be held with two hands for the animation to actually look correct. So with a lighter, or flint and steel, you just hold it in the same hand. Why? Why? Why do this, Mojang? Why? Just make it that flint and steel doesn't exist, and if you have flint in one hand and iron in one hand, you just do it. That would make so much more sense. This is such a shit item. I hate it. I hate it. Because you could be holding something in your offhand, and it doesn't matter. You can just make fire. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Now, I could very easily make a custom model which would make it so that the when you're holding this in your hand, it would look like there was only flint here and the iron part of the flint and steel was here. But then you could be holding something in your offhand, like this, and it would still display the flint in one hand and the iron in the other hand, because, you know, that's how Minecraft works. So there's no way around it. How do you fix this issue? You can't fix this issue. It's dumb. Mojang, please. So much stuff in your game that I hate, but this is my new pet peeve. I hate this. It's awful. So yeah. So if you have any recommendations for how to improve this texture, please tell me, because I'm going insane. So yeah. Speaking of going insane, here is a single item that has 572 individual files in order to create the effect. That's right. 572 files. This is the clock, obviously. I've designed an entirely new clock system which uses dots to basically assimilate a very similar style to, I guess, real life, almost. I don't like the clock in vanilla Minecraft. I don't like it at all. I think it's really dumb. Obviously, a lot of people remember that the clock in vanilla Minecraft is like a picture of a sun and a moon on a dial, and it spins round to show what time of day it is. It's very uncreative, in my opinion. It's very, very uncreative. Considering that the recipe is 4 gold and 1 redstone, I don't know where Steve got all the dyes and the creativity to make a painting of the sun and the moon on like a nice background and set up the rotary system. It doesn't make any sense in my opinion. However, what does make sense is the idea that there might be redstone inside of a gold circular thing that is circling around the thing based on the time of day. That kind of is a lot more believable. Now, this thing looks better when it's actually in action, but to show you it properly, I need to head into a normal world, because this world has like SPS installed and has command blocks stalling the daytime all over the place, so you can't really see the passage of time. And if we go into the nether, it looks mental. So I'm just quickly pop over to another world, and we'll see how it looks regularly. So here we are in our regular old Minecraft world. You can see the clock here in action. This does not have SBS installed. This is just default vanilla Minecraft, so you can see just about how well animated the clock actually is. When you're playing on the default speed for time, this thing changes texture very, very often, and I like that. I like that a lot. Now, this doesn't use any animation files. It uses entirely predicates to basically use the time of day to dictate what the texture is going to be. Now, it's easiest for me to explain how this works by explaining the 3 layers of the clock. Now, the outside layer with the 2x2 pixels is the hour of the day. Obviously, we have 12 blocks for that, so it makes sense that it would be 12 pixels for the hour of the day. The inner circle, or like the inner diagonal square, or whatever you want to call it, is the minutes. Now, the minutes are separated into 5 minutes, because obviously Minecraft doesn't use minutes. It's very fast, obviously. So having it split into actual minutes would be more effort than it would be worth, and obviously the pixel count kind of worked out that way. So there are 12 sets of pixels in the second ring. It's 2x1s on the quarters, because the texture works out that way, and it's 1x1s on the 5 minutes in between. So basically, every time the clock moves, you can tell exactly what time it is. So right now, it's 6:35 at night, and then it's 6:40 at night, and then it's 6:45 at night when it gets to the next one. There you go, 6:45. I really like it. I think it works really well. It's a much better way of reading the time. And obviously the center pixel, as you can see there, it just went off as we reached 6 p.m. That was not a coincidence. I set the time specifically for that. The inner circle represents what time of day it is. And this was actually due to popular request for a very simple reason. A lot of people told me that the main thing they would use a clock for is if they were underground, then they could see what time of day it was. And I get this because I myself have used a clock for that same reason. I would often have an underground base and have a clock in my base and use the clock as a point of reference simply to see what time of day it was. Now, yeah, so the light represents what time of day it is. If the light's on, it's daytime. If the light's off, it's nighttime. Simple as that. So, yeah, I really like it. I think it looks really good. I think it looks really, really neat. It's a clock, yeah. If you're having trouble reading this thing, by the way, it's actually very, very simple. If you think of the middle pixel, so that one right there, if you think of that as the center of the clock, and then draw a line outwards to the outside pixel, and inwards to the inside pixel, then the outer one is the hour hand, which annoyingly is usually smaller on the analog clock, and the inner one is the minute hand, which is usually longer on the analog clock. So basically, if in your mind, if you sort of draw an imaginary line to the outside pixel and the inside pixel, and then invert the lengths, then it's just a clock. It just works like a clock, which makes so much more sense. So there you go. A better solution to Minecraft's clock. I really like it. So there you go, Minecraft's clock. I hope you enjoy. I actually, this took a lot of time to make. It's 288 individual textures and 288 individual model files just to make this work. I have troubleshooted it a lot. I've taken out a lot of issues that got left over from the creation process, but it might still have issues. Obviously, there are a lot of textures to go over and a lot of model files. So if while using the pack you do detect some sort of issue with it, the way it's working, don't hesitate to tell me. You're probably right. Just tell me and I will fix it and we'll be all good. So yeah. So right now, again, using the system we discovered, we can actually tell what time of day it is. So first of all, red light is on, which means it's the daytime. You can see here that it's 7 a.m. and it's also 7:50. So right now, this time that was being set to right now is the equivalent of 7:50. So there you go. It's really cool. I really like it. New clock. I think it's really, really good. It's really helpful for reading the time as well. So definitely a better solution there as well. So yeah, moving on, we have the fishing rod. Very simple texture. It's just a very simple recoloration to match the recolored sticks as well. Only thing worth noting with this thing is the bobber has changed. You can kind of see it there. New bobber. It's just more neutral. It just matches the way the texture looks. As you can see here, there's no red and white bobber on the bobber in the texture. It's white and grey. So now it's white and grey as well. So yeah, there you go. It looks much cooler in my opinion. We have shears. Shears now simply slightly match the colour of iron more. The original shears in default Minecraft are very, very red. Like this middle section that I've made quite a dull brown is very, very red. Now, I tried having it so that the shears were entirely made out of variants of silver. So like very bright silver for the blades, dull silver for the middle section, and then an even duller silver for the handle. It didn't look good. It just looked like a big blob. It didn't look good at all. So I understand why the texture has this coloured section in the middle, but I've made it a little bit more dull and a little bit more brown to make it look almost like wrought iron or something like that. So basically, or like rusty iron even. So yeah, the shears look a bit nicer in my opinion. And the trident has also had the same treatment that it had in Sker, which is that the item form of the trident and the model form of the trident now actually match. So you can see there they have the same coloration and the same texture, and they look like they're actually the same item as opposed to being two completely different items that don't match at all. So there you go, new/old trident texture. And again, there's the kind of guy that you will commonly see a trident on, just for reference as well. So yeah. And that concludes Celeste V7. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little update for Celeste. If you do have any recommendations for any texture changes shown in this video, please don't hesitate to tell me. I love hearing your feedback all the time. Yeah. If you want to download, go to the Discord and you can download it from announcements. It's already there. And I usually post all my updates in Discord as well. So if you want to jump in there, you can join the discussion or whatever. So yeah. Yeah, more Blood Moon stuff coming soon. I have gotten really, really into the Blood Moon stuff recently. I have a ton of new ideas for SBS, and for a lot of my data packs right now, I'm kind of having to save the ideas for the upcoming Resurgence of the Void, which we're going to start working on after SBS v2.1. But for a lot of the ideas I'm having for SBS, they're not actually reliant on other data packs. So I can actually add them for the final release of SBS for you guys to enjoy. So that you can actually use them while I spend 3 months developing Resurgence of the Void. Three months is a good goal, actually. That would be impressive if I do it in that time. So lots of cool stuff to look forward to in terms of the Blood Moon. Obviously, you guys will have been seeing the streams about the Husk model creation recently. I'm really pleased with the way that thing worked out. Just kind of waiting on Optifine 1.15 to actually add the emissive textures. Obviously, work on Celeste will continue while we're working on the Blood Moon, and hopefully in the future we'll start work on OptiPack and eventually start work on Resurgence of the Void as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video, whatever it may be. Take care, stay safe, stay home, and have a very nice day. Bye-bye.